cheap, deadly, hard-to-detect drones. They're Hezbollah's new weapon of choice, and Israel, with one of the world's most powerful militaries, has been caught off guard. And Jeremy Diamond has this exclusive report out front.
A Hezbollah drone cruises undetected over southern Lebanon, propellers whirring until its target comes into view. A group of 6 Israeli soldiers caught off guard in front of a tank. The feed cuts at the moment of impact, which killed a 19-year-old sergeant. He is the first Israeli soldier to be killed by this type of drone, but not the last. The Lebanese militant group Hezbollah has deployed these cheap, explosive-strapped first-person view drones to deadly effect. Dozens of videos from Hezbollah show they've struck tanks, air defense systems, and unsuspecting troops in southern Lebanon and northern Israel. The Israeli military says Hezbollah's drones have killed at least 12 soldiers since the current conflict erupted in March, 1/3 of all fatalities. The key to their lethality, a spool carrying miles of thin fiber optic cable that keeps these drones tethered to their pilot, rather than emitting easy-to-detect radio signals. Ukraine has been combating these fiber optic drones for 2 years, but Ukrainian officials say their Israeli counterparts didn't heed their warnings about the emerging threat. The Israeli military now scrambling to catch up, deploying mesh netting like this to protect troops operating in or near Lebanon, and providing them with shotguns and fragmenting rounds to take out approaching drones. The military is also enlisting the private sector to help track this new threat, using acoustic, optical, and radar-based sensors.
So what we're seeing here is a scenario when we want to protect this area. When a drone is crossing the line, the protective line, according to the policy, then the controller will get an alert and will know that there is a threat coming.
Shai Kuryansky's company, Airways, is among those springing into action to give Israeli troops advance warning of incoming drone threats.
Something very small that you can hardly detect is coming toward you. It does not transmit anything. You must fuse the data from multiple sensors to map the sky accurately. This is what our system does.
So do you feel a real sense of urgency to solve this problem?
It's our children out there in Lebanon that are getting those FPV explosives, and we will not wait with that. Of course, it's urgent.
And Aaron, while there is technically a ceasefire in Lebanon, we have seen Israel continue to carry out attacks against Hezbollah, and Hezbollah also continuing to target Israeli troops, including with these fiber optic drones. And so for the Israeli military and the private sector that's helping it, the urgency of solving that threat remains.
We are also reporting that Israel says it's temporarily reducing its forces in Lebanon and Gaza as talks do continue. Is this a sign that the negotiations are making progress?
What we're reading in the statement from Israel itself is that this is part of an effort to sustain long-term operations. We know that the IDF has been suffering from manpower shortages. They've effectively had continual war on a number of fronts for 3 years now. And this is something that the Chief of Staff has highlighted as a problem as well. So they've said that they will pull several brigades out of the northern and southern sector, as you say, indicating that's Lebanon and Gaza. A battalion could be anything between 2,000 and 5,000 soldiers. So it is a sizable number that they would be pulling out. There is no indication in this statement, though, that they would be pulling out of territory, so they would be giving up certain territory. It's not clear at this point. We have heard optimism, though, from the US Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, saying that there will be another day of talks between Israel and Lebanon, note not including Hezbollah, which rejects these talks, but those talks between Israel and Lebanon will be held for another day on Friday, saying that they are good negotiations. They're very close to a commitment of intent to how to push any kind of ceasefire and peace process forward. But we're also hearing from the Israeli Defense Minister, Israel Katz, that they will not be withdrawing anytime soon from southern Lebanon, even if the U.S. tries to demand it.
I also want to ask you about the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, meeting with Gulf allies. He says that a key goal of ongoing negotiations between Israel and Lebanon, which, as we've seen, have been critical for the broader agreement with Iran, is for the Lebanese army to take control of territory back from Hezbollah. That sounds like it's a lot easier said than done.
That's a perfect way to categorize it. Yes, it is going to be a significant challenge, particularly if Hezbollah continues to be supported as they have been by Iran. You've really got a very volatile situation there. And as currently constituted, trained, and equipped, believe me, the Lebanese army is not capable of simply taking control from Hezbollah. Perhaps working with Israel, they might be able to take some measure of Hezbollah, push them back away from the border. Over time, Hezbollah needs to be encouraged to depart Lebanon. They've infected that country for decades, and they will continue to do everything they can to stay there. Final thought, Boris. The reason Iran is so supportive of Hezbollah is because by doing so in this moment, they drive a wedge between the United States and Israel, who end up kind of in divergent directions. We need to be smart on the U.S. side, and the Israelis need to be smart and work with us to put pressure to support the Lebanese army. Ultimately, we can do this. We can overcome the Iranian support, but we need to work together on it.
To tell us what the situation looks like on the ground in Beirut, I'm joined by Maha Yahya, Director of the Middle East Center at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. Pleasure to have you on again, Maha. Tell me, what is it like to be living in Beirut through this? Because the reports are that, large parts of the country are now occupied, towns have been bombed, hundreds of thousands of people have displaced. What does it feel like to you?
Good afternoon, Fareed. It's good to be with you. Look, the situation on the ground, people are very anxious. I'm in Beirut, and the city is literally throbbing with anxiety. There are more than 1 million people who've been displaced. Almost 1/3 of southern Lebanon is occupied today. 10 to 15% of Lebanese territory. Upwards of 63 towns and villages have been completely eradicated, literally vaporized, dynamited, bombed from the air. So it's very tenuous. People are anxious. They're tired of war. In some parts of the country, there's the performance of normality. People are trying to go about their daily lives, go out, but you see the effects of war, whether you're living under the bombs or not, everywhere. You see it in displaced people and the overcrowding of the capital, for example. The population in Beirut alone has risen by 60% in the last couple of months. And just the sense of loss amongst people who are now, some of them are either living in makeshift shelters or some are still in tents on the street.
So there are two narratives about what all of this has done to Hezbollah. One is that the Lebanese people are angry with Hezbollah for having dragged the country into a war. And the other is that given the extent of Israel's bombing, people are now sympathizing with Hezbollah. There's a renewed sense of a solidarity with Hezbollah because Israel is bombing so furiously. Which narrative do you think is more accurate?
Both narratives are accurate in all frankness. I mean, both are truths to a certain extent. A majority of the Lebanese people, including members of the Shiite community, are fed up. They're fed up of war. They're very angry that they've been dragged into a war that they really did not want to get into. As I mentioned earlier, there is significant destruction in southern Lebanon. Entire areas have been literally had life bombed out of them. And we're not just not talking about physical infrastructure. We're talking about health, education, cultural areas, historic sites, property rights, cadastre. I mean, literally everything. Phosphorus has been used in agricultural zones, which means that these areas can no longer be used for agricultural purposes. So all the pillars, things that would allow life to resume, economic life to resume, have been totally eradicated. So there's a lot of anger, and who is going to compensate? However, at the same time, there is a sense that this is a war against the Shia community, because most of the targeted areas, in its rhetoric, in its bombardments, Israel is not distinguishing between Hezbollah and members of the Shia community. So there is a sense that the community itself is being targeted. This narrative is being amplified by Hezbollah. Hezbollah itself has lost its local allies. It has no real partners, significant partners on the ground today from the other communities. So there is a sense of need to rally around the party as the only defense against what the community feels is an attack against it. And I think this is where there's been a big miscalculation over the past year and a half by the international community. The idea that you cannot help strengthen state institutions and a government that has taken incredibly courageous decisions over the past year and a half without dismantling Hezbollah. When you're dealing with non-state actors, you deal with them both politically and militarily. It's not one at the expense of the other.